Beth Garrett suffers from a debilitating condition called gastroesophageal disease. Her life is a day-to-day struggle to keep well.
For the last 4 years, I've spent like at least 6 times in the hospital a year. And each time from a week to 10 days. I get so sick from the pain medicine. I got a choice. I can either be so nauseated or be in pain really bad.
After copious prescription drug recommendations, Beth began using medical cannabis to help with the pain and nausea associated with gastroesophageal disease. She has found it to be a highly beneficial treatment for her condition.
Well, 1987 was the worst year of my entire life. My youngest son died, and then I developed an ulcer disease, and it was really extremely bad. I remember the doctor saying that he never saw a person my age having such a bad stomach, He just couldn't believe I was still alive. I got to have my stomach redone. But in order to do that, I got to gain 20 pounds. I have a horrendous time to eat. It's so painful. And without pot, I couldn't imagine to eat or have the desire to because it hurts that much.
We've learned a lot in the past 3 or 4 decades about how cannabis affects the body. We know that in the body there are 2 receptors that link up with the active ingredient in marijuana or cannabis, the cannabinoids. There are the CB1 receptor and the CB2 receptors. The CB1 receptors are found predominantly in the brain, and when THC comes in from cannabis, it causes a whole series of reactions in the cell membrane and then into the cell to dampen and increase polarization and excitement of the cells in the nervous system. There is another receptor, the so-called CB2 receptor, which isn't present in the nervous system but is present in cells of the immune system. And it's felt that activation of these receptors may have something to do with the body's immune response. So cannabis works through the same mechanism that many drugs and physiological pathways in the body work through, that is, through receptors on the membranes of cells, causing activation of a cascade of function inside the cells. I often see patients who are nauseated. The medicines that I have to prescribe aren't working for them. These patients also lose their appetite, and cannabis not only is an anti-nausea medicine, but it's the only anti-nausea medicine that also increases appetite. So people that smoke cannabis in our clinical trials really have tolerated it very well with very few side effects. While more traditional, certainly pain medications, have many more side effects. Medications that patients use for relaxation that doctors prescribe, the benzodiazepines, have many more side effects and probably a greater potential for addiction and abuse than cannabis.
Valium is a diazepam. Here is a partial list of its side effects.
I wish some of these doctors would sit and take all these pills that they're giving me. They want me to take 8 Valium, 10 milligrams a day.
I'm Joe Elford. I'm Chief Counsel for Americans for Safe Access. Well, we're the largest grassroots organization devoted exclusively to advancing medical marijuana rights for patients and physicians. We have over 30,000 members across the United States, primarily composed of just individual patients who are devoted to this cause. The war on drugs has greatly impeded medical marijuana in a variety of ways. The federal government will not approve projects that will actually show that marijuana has medical use. Most of the studies that are intended to show that it's harmful actually then lead to conclusions that it does have medical use, but it's very difficult to get federal approval for research.
Research is difficult to do on the medicinal properties of cannabis. The National Institute on Drug Abuse is the only legal source of cannabis for doing research in the country, and they are not prone to fund studies that might demonstrate that cannabis has a beneficial therapeutic effect.
Research on medical cannabis is further impeded by its status as a Schedule I drug under the Controlled Substance Act of 1970. The Act established 5 categories or schedules into which all illicit and prescription drugs were placed.
Schedule I drugs have no medical use and a high potential for abuse. Schedule II drugs, which we can prescribe with a regular prescription, have high potential for abuse, but they have a known medical use.
Schedule I: ecstasy, mescaline, GHB, LSD, synthetic heroin, cannabis. Schedule II: cocaine, methamphetamine, opium.
It's got criminal effects being in Schedule I. Then it also has other effects, which is it's more difficult to get marijuana for research purposes. And the problem is without research, it makes it more difficult to prove that marijuana should be either moved to a lower schedule or be declassified altogether.
In fact, Marinol, dronabinol, which is synthetic delta-9 THC, the main psychoactive ingredient in cannabis, is Schedule III. So the parent is Schedule I and the product is Schedule III. Go figure.
That task to reschedule falls to either Congress or the DEA. The DEA, Congress hasn't taken it up, and the DEA has actively ignored, in some cases, the rulings of its own internal law judges.
In 1988, the Honorable Francis Young, an internal judge for the DEA, concluded, "Marijuana in its natural form is one of the safest therapeutically active substances known. By any measure of rational analysis, marijuana can be safely used within the supervised routine of medical care."
There are many possible problems that can respond to cannabis as a medicine.
There are thousands and thousands and thousands of people who would be benefiting from the pharmaceutical products that are derived from this plant.
A 2006 study conducted by the National Institute of Health titled "The Endocannabinoid System as an Emerging Target of Pharmacotherapy" concluded that modulating the activity of the endocannabinoid system turned out to hold therapeutic promise in a wide range of disparate diseases. Diseases of energy metabolism, central nervous system disorders, cancer.
There could be drugs being developed today that could be better than anything on the market. It could help to slow the progression of multiple sclerosis in the brain. It could help slow Alzheimer's in the brain. And this is stuff this is serious stuff. This needs to be studied. There's evidence to suggest that it kills cancer cells, that certain cannabinoids in the plant kill cancer cells while maintaining the health of the surrounding cells. These studies have been published and they've been repeated.
In a recent Gallup poll, over 73% of Americans supported the legalization of cannabis for medical use. In the 2008 election, Michigan became the 13th state to legalize medical cannabis. The placement of marijuana as a Schedule I drug has made research on the potential benefits of this drug extremely difficult. American scientists, among the greatest minds in the world, should be studying this medicine. Congress must act fast to reschedule marijuana and legalize its use for medical treatment and research. Americans deserve access to this promising medicine.
I don't sit around smoking pot all the time. I don't do that. I just do it when I have to. Medical cannabis, it gives me the ability to want to live.